Would it surprise you to learn that one of the world's most important Christian leaders, second only to the Pope, lives in a country where 99% of the population is Muslim? His name is Bartholomew, and he's the Patriarch of 300 million Orthodox Christians. He lives in Istanbul, Turkey, the latest in a line of patriarchs who've resided there since before there was a Turkey, since the centuries following the death of Jesus Christ, when Istanbul was called Constantinople and was the most important city in the Christian world. But times change, and as we said last December, when we first broadcast this story, in modern Muslim Turkey, the Patriarch doesn't feel very welcome. In the past, the authorities there have seized Christian properties and closed Christian churches, monasteries, and schools. His parishioners are afraid that the future of their church, the oldest of all Christian churches, and its Patriarch, will be threatened.
The story will continue in a moment.
His official title is impressive. His All Holiness Bartholomew, Archbishop of Constantinople, New Rome, Ecumenical Patriarch. Ecumenical means universal, and worldwide, 300 million Orthodox Christians look to him for spiritual guidance. We first met him in Istanbul. It was Easter, and worshippers from throughout the Orthodox Christian world had come to celebrate Christ's resurrection on the holiest day of their calendar with the man who they see as their Pope.
My first question is this: how should I refer to you? As your All Holiness, as Patriarch, as Ecumenical Patriarch? What is the proper way to address you?
Bartholomew. The official title is Your All Holiness.
Your All Holiness.
But for me, Bartholomew is enough.
For him, perhaps, but not for us. And while His All Holiness may occupy the ecumenical throne, his quarters are a far cry from the Vatican. His office is cramped and relatively austere, his desk littered with papers. No Michelangelos here. All that's left of a Christian empire, once ruled from Istanbul, is a complex of 9 buildings, tightly squeezed onto less than an acre of land.
Now, is this the Vatican of your church?
Well, our headquarters.
It's called the Phanar, and it's been the heart of Orthodox Christianity since 1599. His All Holiness promotes an informal atmosphere here. There's none of the ritual that surrounds the Pope in Rome. And there's no cathedral, only a modest church. The neighborhood that surrounds it used to be Greek and Christian, but today is predominantly Muslim.
I think a lot of people would want to know, Your All Holiness, why the leader of so many millions of Orthodox Christians in the world lives in a country that is 99% Muslim.
Because we are here before this country becomes a Muslim country, much earlier, since the very beginning.
Since the very beginning of what?
Of the foundation of our church, of the Church of Constantinople.
And in the beginning, Istanbul was called Constantinople, the ancient city on the Bosphorus, where east meets west. The city's skyline is dominated by minarets. At Friday prayers, the mosques are teeming. But the city's richest and most renowned Christian churches are museums today, meccas for tourists, not for worshippers. From the Cora Church, with its fresco of Jesus, whose eyes seem to go right through you, to the Hagia Sophia, the first great church in Christendom and an architectural wonder built 1,000 years before St. Peter's in Rome, and for centuries, the most important church in the Christian world. Fast forward a few centuries, and it's hard to find Christians in Istanbul. This church holds 500 people, but during its Sunday services, its pews were practically empty. It was the same everywhere we went. At the turn of the last century, there were nearly 2 million Orthodox Christians in Turkey. 1.5 million were expelled in 1923, and another 150,000 left after violent anti-Christian riots in Istanbul in 1955. Today, in all of Turkey, there are only 4,000 Orthodox Christians left.
We are treated as citizens of second class.
You're treated as second-class citizens.
And we don't feel that we enjoy our full rights as Turkish citizens.
If you're treated as second-class citizens here, and you are Greek, why don't you go to Greece?
Because we love our country, we are born here, we want to die here. We feel that our mission is here, as it has been for 17 entire centuries.
17 centuries.
17 centuries. And I wonder why the authorities of our country do not respect this history.
To better understand the Patriarch's frustration, he suggested we head off on our own mission, 500 miles east of Istanbul, to a region called Cappadocia. We launched our search for this Christian history in a hot air balloon and came upon one of the most bizarre and dramatic landscapes on Earth. From above the clouds, it looks like a city of stone. And when you approach the cliffs, you see doors and windows carved by hand into the rock, eons ago. It's extraordinary enough from the outside, but open one of the doors and step inside, and you enter a world of unfathomable beauty. Chapels with frescoes painted while Rome was still ruled by the Caesars, and Bethlehem and Nazareth were dusty little towns.
Are there any Christian remains as old as this in the Holy Land, in Jerusalem or Bethlehem?
Not that I know of.
Our guide, Sevim Karabayik, told us much to our surprise that one of the Gospels was written in Turkey, and that 3 of the apostles spread the word here. There are hundreds of these churches in Cappadocia, where Christians sought refuge from persecution, the oldest built in the 5th century when Christianity was in its infancy.
Do you think many Christians realize it all started here in Turkey?
Personal experience? No.
It all started in the Holy Land
Land,
because that's where Jesus is
that's
from.
where it's taken shape.
Nobody disputes that. But the Christian religion began in Turkey.
In Anatolia, in Turkey.
The Patriarch then sent us to the depths of the Sinai Desert, to a Greek Orthodox monastery where early Christians also sought protection. It's called St. Catherine's, and it's located at the foot of Mount Sinai, where, according to tradition, Moses received the 10 Commandments. It's the oldest functioning monastery anywhere. There are 25 monks here today, servicing the smallest diocese in the world. The monks are all Greek, with one exception.
Altogether, we have 3,300 manuscripts written.
The chief librarian, overseeing an incomparable collection of ancient manuscripts, is Father Justin,
But most of these date from the 10th to the 14th century.
a converted Baptist from El Paso, Texas. He showed us the monastery's collection of Byzantine icons, the largest and oldest collection in the world. Then he took us to what the Patriarch really wanted us to see, a little-known letter written by the Prophet Muhammad almost 1,400 years ago, signed and sealed with his handprint, offering protection and religious freedom to the Christians of the monastery.
These are precedents from Muhammad himself for toleration and peace among people of differing faiths.
The Patriarch then brought us back to the 21st century and Turkey. to his own backyard. He took us for a ride on an island off of Istanbul in a carriage with a police escort. The Patriarch wanted to show us that Muhammad's message of tolerance has not been received by the Turkish authorities. His prime example, the Halki School of Theology, the only Greek Orthodox seminary in Turkey, empty and abandoned. No priests, no prayers.
Thank you, Your Holiness. It's very kind of you.
The Halki was closed down by Turkish authorities after passage of a law banning private higher education. That was back in 1971.
It's a pity and a shame. It's a crime to keep such a school closed, unused, for no reason. Why?
Reasons of state.
Reasons of state.
As a consequence, the Church can't train new priests, potential new patriarchs, who under Turkish law have to be born in Turkey. It's as if Rome closed down the College of Cardinals. The hallways where 100 young seminarians roamed are desolate now. The library's priceless collection of old manuscripts lies untouched. Walk into a classroom, and it seems as if the students had just gone home today, not 38 years ago.
This school prepared people who preached peace, preached unity, preached love. So, not giving to the church the possibility to prepare these people, we offend human dignity.
The Patriarch says it not only offends human dignity, it offends him personally, because this is his alma mater. Halki is where he studied to be a priest.
So you studied in a classroom just like this?
Yes, for 7 years.
The Patriarch was born Demetrius Archondonis in Turkey.
Christos Anesti se όλους.
Like all Turkish citizens, he served in the Turkish army. He was ordained at the age of 21 and elected ecumenical patriarch in 1991. But the Turkish government does not recognize the ecumenical or international part of his title. To them, he is merely a local bishop.
I have visited the Prime Minister, submitting our problems, concrete problems, and asking why, and asking to help us.
Do you get answers?
Never.
Do you sometimes fear that the community will be wiped out?
Not really. We survived. We do believe in miracles.
And that, the Patriarch says, is because Turkey is also the Holy Land, spiritually not very far from Jerusalem.
And this is the continuation of Jerusalem, and for us it is equally a holy and sacred land. We prefer to stay here, even crucified sometimes, because in the Gospel it is written that it is given to us not only to believe in Christ, but also to suffer for Christ.
You said even to be crucified sometimes.
Yes, because we believe in the resurrection. After the crucifixion, resurrection comes.
Do you feel personally, Your Holiness, that you are being crucified sometimes?
Yes, I do.
That comment on being crucified was extremely controversial in Turkey and touched off a national debate on its treatment of the Church. Official reaction to our report was negative. A letter from Turkey's Washington embassy called it, quote, biased and one-sided, and pointed out that Turkey's prime minister has met the Patriarch to discuss his concerns. But according to the Church so far, quote, there has been no tangible improvement on any of the problems.